It's a lot neater.
Good afternoon, LEC community. I am so happy that you are here joining us. My name is Susana Elisa Raraz, and I am the Deputy Director of the Latinx Education Collaborative. Our mission is to increase Latinx representation in K-12 classrooms and to create the conditions necessary for Latinx student advancement. I am so excited, feel so grateful and lucky to be joined here by a good friend and partner of the organization, Imani. Imani, how are you today?
I am fine now that we're officially in the double digits above freezing.
Yes. You know, Imani, I don't know if you know this, but this is my birthday week.
Oh,
My
happy birthday.
Thank you. My husband's birthday was yesterday and mine is on Saturday. And my parents just decided that the coldest week of the year, it was a good time to have me. So,
That's because you bring so much warmth to the earth.
oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, LEC community, if you're joining us this afternoon, we're here to talk about what the LEC has coming up and very specifically about how it's going with our STEM strategies for educators. You may know that over the last 6-ish months, Imani and STEMs on the Vines have been with the LEC to provide professional development and workshops all along the terms and the topics around STEM education and all of that the STEMs on the Vines has to offer. And we've been so grateful and lucky to have Imani and her resources shared with us. Imani, you know, I was mostly on maternity leave as you got this kicked off. So fill me in. How did the first few months of the programming go?
Well, I was very excited. And first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Imani Mehta. I am the director of STEMs on the Vines, which is a STEM education enrichment nonprofit. And we have been asked by the Latinx Education Collaborative to bring some professional development sessions to STEM teachers here in Kansas City, and so they can better serve our Latinx students. And we started off the series with a bang. We started off with bilingual education and brain science, which it was really fascinating for me to be able to do the research, to be able to present this to the teacher community. We have always heard that being a dual language household causes problems for students, but the research tells us, the science tells us that that is not the case. As a matter of fact, you're both left hemispheres of your brain, right and left hemispheres of your brain develop more when you are bilingual. So I was really excited to be able to bring that body of knowledge to teachers so they would have the ammunition to be able to counter those claims.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many educators in our community that are really passionate about bilingual and multilingual education. I'm sure you ran into some at Evolucion this past year. Folks who are bilingual educators, folks who really advocate for bilingual education in schools. And you're right that oftentimes it's one of the things that comes under fire when it comes times to get rid of things, or and so to see and hear about the science of it is really awesome. What else went on last semester?
Well, and I do want to say if you're bilingual, it's a superpower. That means your brain is more developed than everybody else's. We also had, and that was a great segue into the next session we had on being able to provide culturally relevant and culturally responsive education. And I'm really on a mission with this because I've come to realize that there are people who are presenting culturally relevant education in ways that are not relevant or responsive. So I want to be able to set the record straight and give everyone a really good baseline of what it means to be culturally relevant and culturally responsive in the classroom.
I think those are terms that have been so thrown around, Imani, in the last several years, last 5 maybe 10 years. Culturally relevant, culturally responsive, and it honestly feels like a check mark thing sometimes, right? There are some kind of baseline ways to be culturally relevant. And so it's really awesome for you to kind of go a little deeper. What was the one after? What was the session after that one?
The session after that one was data science, and that's something I'm also very passionate about. We're hearing all the time right now about how AI is just going to take over everything. It's going to take over the economy. It's going to take over our jobs. It's even going to take over the teaching profession. And so I want to be able to equip the teachers as well as the students with what it means to understand data science, how data science can be used to substantiate your case. If you need to go before a board of directors, if you need to go before a Senate hearing, even going before the city council, being able to understand data and being able to communicate really what the data means is something that our students really need to have in their skill sets.
I think as teachers, even, right? I remember being a classroom teacher. There's such varying degrees of what your coworkers and your co-teachers know about data, analyzing data, collecting data, right? And so it absolutely, there is a science to it. I'm learning that now more than ever working in a nonprofit, right? We run off of collecting and analyzing data, right? So and then we have a session coming up in what, 6 days, next week?
Yes, we do. And I also want to illustrate that we've got two huge data centers in Kansas City. Facebook has a data center as well as Google. And so we want to be able to prepare students for those jobs. The next session that we have coming up for professional development is asking purposeful questions. And, you know, when we are trying to educate in the classroom, we see our students going through the process of thinking through a problem. And we want to be able to ask questions that have a purpose to help that student get to the end result. We don't want to give them the answer, but we want to give them questions that help the students think through that process.
So tell me about what I can imagine, right? And I can assume, but what's the correlation between STEM and asking purposeful questions?
Well, if a student is doing a science experiment and it doesn't go the way they expected, sometimes there are misconceptions that the student has that they interject into that science exercise that leads them to an outcome that was not expected. And so to ask a purposeful question to help that student realize, rather than saying, you're wrong, let's do it that way, have the student realize, oh, this is where I made a mistake in my thinking, and this is how I need to be able to correct it in the future. In technology, if you're writing a computer program, that's called debugging.
You know, one of the things as I've become a mother over the last few years that I was really passionate about making sure to do was instilling inquisitiveness in my kiddos. I regret it sometimes because because my son is absolutely very curious and he wants to touch it all and he wants to, you know, he's flipping on and on the light switches all day long in our house. Our neighbors probably think we're crazy, but you know that is how our kiddos learn, is by asking questions of the world. You know, why are things happening? How do they happen? Can I cause things to happen? And so like I said, it is not easy, even as a teacher, right, to encourage our kiddos to ask questions, because it opens the door for lots of possibilities, but obviously it's the way our kiddos learn.
Well, you may not have realized it, but your house is a science lab. So your kids
Yeah.
are going to go through everything in your house. You know, if you ever sit down and just watch a kid outside playing, if they're playing in the dirt, you know, they are very purposeful about what they're doing. They know if they're
Mhm.
making mud pies or they're making a fort, they
Mm.
know what they want that outcome to be. They want it to be sturdy. They want to be able to crawl through it. And so they are asking themselves, maybe unconsciously, how can I do this in a way that it creates the outcome that I expect? We just
Mm.
want to, in the classroom, have the students be more conscious about that thought process.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Now, what could someone expect from the workshop next week? And kind of a sub question to that, what is this open to all types of educators? Is it just classroom teachers? Tell us about what they can expect and who should attend.
Anyone who has the role or the passion for teaching should be able to come to this session. I want to be able to give people the toolkit that they need in order to enhance a learning experience. And we also want to, I look at these workshops as more like a clinic. You bring your problems to us and we'll work through them in the workshop. And that's what a workshop is supposed to be.
Yeah, I love that because I know for myself, I would prefer to get hands-on, solve some problems together, talk to the group. I love that. As you can see, everyone, those of you who are viewing, first of all, thank you for being with us. You see leckc.org/questions is our registration link if you are wanting to join Imani and I next week to get some workshopping done and some professional development around asking purposeful questions. Any other thoughts about the workshop that's happening next week, Imani?
Well, I do want to highlight the one that we have coming up in March. I'm really excited about it. We have partnered with Clendening Medical Library at the University of Kansas to do a citizen science workshop. We're going to be talking about environmental education, and we're going to be talking about giving students the opportunity to collect data and do some really vital research and contribute to actual science projects. We're going to be doing a citizen science project that's citywide. It's called Crowd the Tap, and we're going to teach students how to test for lead in water.
Nice. Okay. Imani, I'm always so excited and inspired by what you bring to community. I mean, you are so resourceful. And pulling in the people, the organizations, the networks that's necessary to put in front of our students for the things that they need and the things that they deserve, right? And so that's really cool. I have I would love to see how to test for lead in water.
Yeah, you'll be really surprised with how we do it. We use copper pennies.
Interesting. Okay. I'm looking forward to that. I know that you have several sessions happening for the rest of the year, right? So everyone, LEC, be on the lookout for the rest of the STEM professional development, STEM strategies for teachers or for educators. I do have the actual physical flyer in front of me. Next Wednesday at 5 p.m. here at our beautiful office. If you haven't gotten the opportunity to take a look at our mural, if you haven't gotten an opportunity to get some snacks on the LEC, join us next Wednesday, leckc.org/questions. Before we go, Imani, I would love to just make sure that our viewers also know that nominations are open for Latinx Educator Awards. The Latinx Educator Awards this year is in March. And so if you go to leckc.org/LEC Awards 24, we all have a favorite Latinx educator, and we'd love to hear all about them and give them an opportunity to win this year's Educator of the Year, Administrator of the Year, etc. Head over to leckc.org/LEC Awards 24. This is on January 31st. Here's our next opportunity coming up, leckc.org/expresión 2024. Classroom teachers, this cohort is all for you. So if you have a story to tell, as we all do, but would love to curate it in the space with other Latinx educators, join us for our fellowship. Applications are due on January 31st. Last but not least, we want to know what you think. We want to know how we could get better, what we could be doing to serve you better. leckc.org/survey24. Imani, any final thoughts or any other details about the STEM strategies for educators that you'd like to mention?
Well, of course, we already have these sessions already set up. Hear from our educators Tell us how we can serve you. Tell us what you want us to be able to help you work on, and we can use the classroom as a clinic so that you can improve your professional practice.
And what better way, right, to do that than in the space with other like-minded educators? I'm always really excited when we have educators here in the office with us, because it's really cool to be working together. And some days are really difficult as teachers and educators, and so to be in the same space together is always very refreshing. Imani, final thoughts? All right. I think Imani may be having some tech issues, and that's okay. If you have any questions or thoughts, always feel free to reach out to me, to Imani, DM us, send us a message. If you are interested in registering, leckc.org/questions. And like I said earlier, please consider nominating Latinx Educator today, leckc.org/LEC Awards 24. And we will see you very soon. Imani, if you can hear me, thank you so much for being with us. And we hope to see you next week, everyone. Bye, bye. Bye, LEC community.